There's so many moments that I thought would change everything, and they didn't. This opportunity, this deal, this event, this is the one. And then nothing changes. And so in this video, we're going to talk about what does change, what does make a shift over time, um, and in what way do those events matter, if at all. What is up, you guys? Sage here, CEO, founder of Legacy Africa. Um, and yeah, I'm also partner in a venture called Office Cube. Been to Zoom Investments Masterclass. There talk to multi millionaire CEOs, including Asante Zoom himself, who is 200 million rand plus CEO. Some sources report him at 1.2 billion, so about a billion or so, between 200 million and 1 billion 200 million is his net worth. I mean, he owns Amazon, we have seen so many other things, so there's that, and there's so much other stuff that's going on in terms of legacy, in terms of the opportunities that we've been able to create, we've capitalized on. And I'll tell you something about that. You always think the next one is going to be the one. You always think the next relationship is the relationship, um, which it tends to be different from reality, but not in the way you'd expect. But let me get into it. So initially, the illusion is that one moment is going to change everything, but life doesn't work like that. Um, you always believe that, like I said, this is the one, this next thing. Oh, there's going to be one thing, it pop. I graduate. Once I graduate, man, I swear down, doors are just going to bust open for me. And every opportunity I ever wanted. The phone's going to start ringing and people are going to start contacting me. People are going to email me because I now have this. Never comes. Oh, this relationship, this event, this contract, it never comes in. It never comes in. But here's what reality is. Reality is all those things are cumulative. It all adds up. And brick by brick by brick, you're starting to build something. You keep plugging away. Last video, I talked about how you get up the next day and you keep going. If you win, fantastic. You landed the contract. Congratulations to you, my good sir. You get up the next day and you start working. You lost. You didn't get it. That sucks. You get up the next day and you keep working. And the losses are scars and calluses and lessons that inform the victories that will come. And the victories are a brick on top of another, on top of another. Bricks that you have to keep stacking, not just upwards, but horizontally. And here's the interesting thing. The bigger the building, the bigger the vision is, the wider the foundation has to be. And so the more you're going to have to start stacking horizontally. And there's no forward momentum. There's so many times in my life, I'll be completely vulnerable with you because fortunately no one watches these videos. I'll be completely vulnerable with you and say, there are plenty of times when, the people closest to me have asked me like, yo, when are you going to start monetizing in a real way, like a serious way? Like, when are you going to start seeing real money from this thing that you're doing? And I talked about sometimes fame comes quicker than money does. And, this is part and parcel of the game. When you're building something big, infrastructure matters, access matters, and so for them, they're like, bro, you land contract after contract, you're going to these big things and everything looks um everything looks fantastic, but we know how hard you're going into this thing, and it doesn't seem to be rewarding you what you're worth. And I'm like, that's the first fallacy that I think you get over as an entrepreneur, is the idea that you're going to get paid what you're worth. You never are. I mean, the whole idea of employment is you're going to trade. So, for example, you're worth a certain amount to me. Say you're worth R1 million to me, and I'm gonna pay you 250 a year, right? 250,000 a year. And you're like, man, how does that make sense? It's like, well, I'm guaranteeing you that you're gonna get paid 250,000, and I'm betting on myself that I can create 4x the upside for the company. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Like there's you will never get paid what value you're bringing to the marketplace. That's impossible. It just won't happen. You know, client comes to me, he pays me X amount, and the idea is that I will generate a certain amount through their business. I will install a team, build the systems, frameworks. Within 30 days, they're seeing cream, and they're gonna make a lot more than they paid me. And that's the whole idea. That's why the trade becomes worth it to them. That's why they prioritize my service over anything else that they could do with their money and with that time. Is within the understanding that there is an arbitrage, there is a difference, there's a very feasible, tangible difference between what I am worth and what they're paying me, and they'll pay me a lot less than what I'm actually worth. But that's how you start to gain traction within the marketplace. And then over time, as results improve, as your talents improve, as the talent pool improves, the depth and width of it, then so too does your asking price, and so too does the size and the quality of the client that you're able to serve. And so I say that to say, to go back into the expectation versus reality. Expectation is the one thing is going to pop and then things change for you. Reality is you're adding, adding each pop, each burst of momentum, each time something happens that's really cool. Like you're in the business chamber, you're in this event, you you sign this, you sign that, you're part of this, you're part of that, you're showing up in so many places. Again, fame comes quicker than money does. All these cool things happen, and it's not necessarily translating directly into what people would assume would be the reality that comes with that. And that's because you're building infrastructure, you're building depth. Like you're if yeah, bro, if you are building a massive tree, or if your tree is going to grow to become something incredibly massive, you don't understand how deeply the roots have to go to be able to sustain that tree to begin with. How deeply the networks of the roots have to go. Different things have to be tapped into, and how wide and deep it has to, like, there are so many dimensions that go into building something significant. That is something people like won't understand at all. And I think a very good gauge is, if you're so smart, why don't you have what you want? And if you don't have what I want, why would I listen to you in terms of how to get it? Very interesting questions that you need to ask yourself when you're in pursuit of this thing. But everything's cumulative. Every rep moves you forward, and what actually moves you is not the moment. It's not the opportunity. It's the work behind it. It's the consistency behind it. It's the blood, sweat, and tears repeated. And so every callus, every scar, everything that you pick up on the way to this a goal of yours, every single thing that you do on the way, every step you take, you become better. The situations you find yourself in create reason for you to question certain parts of your own systems because you understand them in depth enough. And as the situation comes up and you find that, oh, there's actually an inadequacy here that they maybe didn't pick up, but I've picked up, and I actually need to fix this. I can tighten this, I can tighten that. Oh, we can make this work by moving this and taking and building that. And oh, this asset, that asset, boom, 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 boom. And then you find yourself in a position where you show up to the meeting room and you already know what they're going to ask before they even ask it. You've already prepared things for them before you've even met them, because you're starting to build avatars, you're starting to build archetypes, you're starting to find out what exactly the market needs and what solutions you can provide to that market. And that's the one thing that you're actually sticking to. The one thing you're actually sticking to is, what's the problem I'm trying to solve? And in your pursuit of a solution to that problem, because the thing is, the humility to know that you don't know the answer, the humility to know within yourself that I don't have the answer to this question, but I believe in myself, I believe in my team, I believe in the people that I'm working with, the people around me, that we are able to figure this thing out. Because it's actually not a ridiculously, like, I'm not working off of ridiculous assumptions. We're working off of data. We're working off of needs and the satisfaction to those needs. And we've created the means to solve this problem. We just need to connect the two markets that are the problem and the solution. Like, do you get what I'm trying to say? You need to find yourself in a spot where you're sticking to the one thing that is the problem. You're remaining humble in the way that you approach the solution to the problem, and you remain adaptable. Jeff Bezos said it best, and I'll repeat this as many times as it takes for me to constantly remember it and reiterate, and for you, hopefully, if anyone's out there watching, if anyone's there, Jeff Bezos said, you must be stubborn on the vision, but flexible on the details. Know where you want to go, have a North Star, have a big thing that you're building towards, have a big direction that you're headed. And on the way there, be willing to be wrong. Because, and Jeff Bezos said this as well, the people, like, in order to achieve massive success, you have to be right a lot. And the people who are right a lot change their mind a lot. I change my mind all the time. All the time. And there is a certain subsect of people to whom changing your mind is a sign of stupidity, of weakness, of instability. But in reality, if you are rooted in the problem you're trying to solve, and you don't shift from industry to industry and this to that, if you stay beating the same drum in the same, or if you stay playing the same rhythm but you use different instruments to do it, do you get what I'm trying to say? If you keep hitting it from different angles and finding different ways to solve this thing, to deconstrain this issue that you're seeing, that is what actually moves you forward, rather than being married to being right. Like, I'd rather get rich, not get right. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, I'd rather be wealthy than correct. I would rather be happy in a marriage than be right. You get what I'm trying to say? But apply that to business. I'd rather be thriving in whatever industry we land up in, serving the customer that has a need for the service that we want to provide, that solves the problem. Most importantly, is solving that problem that we want to solve, rather than having picked the right industry to begin with, or picking an industry and forcing it to work. At the end of the day, there is a solution to the problem, and you have to pick a vehicle, pick an industry, and commit to finding what the industry needs. And I believe that it is within that that you find the outsized returns. It is within sticking in it, because the longer you stick to it, the more you see the bugs, the features, what's positive, what's negative. The longer you stick in it, the thing is, when you're very intelligent, you can usually pick up patterns very quickly. You come into something, you're like, ooh, this. The interesting thing happens when you solve those things and the problem solution cycle begins to occur. That's the beautiful part. That's the process itself. The problem solution cycle. You see a problem, you solve it, it creates another problem, you solve that problem, creates another it create it you create you solve that problem, and it creates another problem which needs a solution, which makes a problem, which needs a solution, which makes a problem, which needs a solution. And the problems get bigger and bigger, more complex and more complex. But so does your ability to create solutions and your ability to gather resources, gather human resources, capital, whatever the case, to solve the larger problems as they come, and so on and so forth. And such is the virtuous cycle of business. If you allow it to be virtuous, meaning if you play the game correctly and constantly leverage the expertise, the experience that you're gaining along the way, and using it to go into higher and higher markets, you eventually get to a spot where you have enough capital to allocate to things like content, to things like lower tier um, things that don't cost much on delivery. And so then you can ship solutions widely and solve the ultimate problem that you're trying to solve. And so what I'm trying to say with this is it's not one thing. There's no one quick, there's no one quick fix. No one's coming to save you. It won't happen quickly. And the sooner you accept that it won't happen as quickly as you think it will, the sooner it happens faster than you expect. I promise you that. When you just hunker down, put your hands up and say, you know what, this is going to take 5 to 10 years. Don't matter how smart I am, don't matter how good my team is, whatever. Do you like being it that we are where we are now, knowing what we know now? What can we accomplish? And yes, timelines do accelerate as our skills grow, as technology begins to improve rapidly, all that good stuff. Yes, timelines can be condensed, but the thing is, once you get to a goal, you set an even bigger goal. And so it'll take 5 years to feel like, not like you know what you're doing, because if you're doing it right, you'll never know what you're doing, because you'll always be challenging bigger and bigger problems than your skill set. But if you're doing it right, you get to a spot quite quickly where you feel that you know what to do next. And as long as you know how to put the next foot in front of the other, or what foot to put in front of the other, then you will constantly be moving forward. And eventually, not one thing, but everything culminates to you being who you need to be in order to make that dream a reality, in order to solve the ultimate problem that you're trying to solve. Yeah, I think that's it. If you're an entrepreneur, Legacy Africa, link is in the description. If you're not an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur, you did in fact enjoy the video, please hit the subscribe button. I really, really appreciate that. I have been Sage, standing on business. Signing off.